Well, Eric, thank you very much, and it's always a pleasure to be on your call, and I look forward to have been looking forward to it since we spoke. I don't necessarily want to start the call off this way, but I'm going to start the call off this way, just saying, I feel like some of the things we're going to talk about today are very important. Obviously, you, the audience, will make your mind up on whether it's important or not important. In fact, I just got off of another Zoom call that I had this morning. I had a very, very interesting day yesterday, and enlightening in a lot of ways. I've been doing this a long time, and I probably, not that I was overly nervous about it, but I had an invite to come down and speak to the board of directors and to the founders of Ethos. And it was a great meeting. They had 50 so of their leadership, their developers, had an opportunity to have dinner with their CEO on Wednesday evening. And all of these guys, I mean, they're Stanford graduates. They're some of the brightest minds. One of the ladies, I think, was one of the co-founders of Zillow, the other Uber. I mean, these people have had some success in their time. And honestly, I think they loved our perspective on who Equus is, what we're about, our commitment to middle income America and so forth. And I'm very, very positive some great things are going to come out of that meeting, without question. And it made me think on the flight back last night, that all of us are independent business people, and we would not be here if we did not have a real strong desire to build a healthy business that has longevity in it. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to speak with you about today, Eric, and certainly it's you and I talked about it the other night when we were chatting about something else. I'm going to start today, and I'm going to give you an analogy only because I'm hoping you can understand the analogy, and then we're going to quickly go into you and your business. Nothing about Equus. This isn't about Equus. Candidly, it's not about the Valdez Group. It is about each of you and your business, right? So one of the things that I enjoy doing today is I enjoy playing golf, right? And I am a real student of the game. I mean, I don't play golf every day. I think, some people think I do, but, I work at it, right? Because I don't like to play bad golf. And so I have found a teacher here in Florida, and not that I work a lot with him, but typically about once a month, but he made a comment to me. And then shortly after the comment, I read an article from Tiger Woods about this. But what the guy said, he said, Barry, as we start working together, what I want you to do is I want you to own your swing. Okay, I want you to own your swing. And then we had the Players Championship here, which is the richest golf tournament in the world. Their purse this year was $25 million. And I went to the Wednesday practice round, which is, 5 minutes from my house, from the first tee box. And every one of these players had their entourage around them, right? So, and I want you to listen to me. I realize this may be Greek to some of you, but bear with me. because we're going somewhere with it today, and I honestly think it will make an impact in your business. So each of these players on Wednesday, because of the magnitude of the tournament, right, had their walking down the fairway. They had their business manager. They had their swing coach. They had their dietitian, right? They had their exercise guy. And it was almost comical that you look out on the fairway and there's, I mean, it seemed like I think they were playing twosomes or threesomes that day, that there were 25 people around while each person hit the golf ball. And I was reading an article, actually, I think it was in Golf Digest this month, and it was from Jack Nicklaus. And I had just witnessed this, and then Jack said this in the article. He said, it literally, Matt, infuriates me to see all of these people today on the PGA Tour that literally can't think for themselves, right? He said, I see nothing good about having a swing coach and a putting coach and a chipping coach and a dietitian. He said, if you can't figure things out in life by yourself, he said, you're going to get lost, because he said, when Thursday comes around and you tee off, it's you and your caddy. And he said, maybe that's where society is, right? So I'm seeing all of this, or getting all of this information fed into me. And then I'm reading an article from Tiger Woods that talked about owning your own swing, right? Because, and the point is this, if you look at it from a physicality standpoint, all of us have different bodies, right? All of us may not be as flexible as somebody else. We may not be as strong as someone else. There are taller people, shorter people, thinner people, heavier people, and so you can't duplicate. It's easy to say, well, man, I want to swing a golf club like that. Well, I'm never going to swing a golf club like Tiger Woods. I mean, he's gifted physically, right? He has gifts that I don't have. So the point being is that one of your core values is ownership. And it's in the context. In fact, I talked to this board of directors yesterday about this, is that, I'm a big believer that you have to own your situation every day. And I wrote this down this morning. I personally think motivation is grossly overrated, right? Because it's fleeting, right? I don't know about you, I feel differently every day that I wake up. Some days, for no reason, I'm in a bad mood. There's no reason, there's no justification for it. Some days I'm in a good mood and there's no justification for it, right? And so I think those people that feel like they need to be constantly motivated are people that never take ownership of their swing in business, right? And I've said this many times before, but it was something that was given to me in the early 80s, that you really never out-earn your self-confidence. You never out-earn your self-respect, right? You never out-earn a lot. I mean, I'm laughing about it, but there was no question I was the dumbest person in the room yesterday. and I owned it. I owned it, right? But it was kind of funny because, you know, I'm comfortable in my own skin, right? And, you know, even though they may not be a lot of skills that I was given, I've got one or two. So I was hanging on to those, right? I took Emily with me, and as I was addressing the crowd, I said, I'm going to do the talking, and any questions that you have, Mrs. White is here to answer your questions. And so the plan worked out. But the reason you've got to own it, and I want to jump in now to your business, is if you don't do things that, here's the key word, if you can't do things that are repeatable, then you never create rhythm in your business, right? You never create, you can't wake up every day and every book you read, you've got a different thought, or anytime somebody speaks at Equus, oh, I like them, or they're doing, you know, they're doing this. I'm not saying we don't look for nuggets. I'm certainly not saying that we don't process good ideas, but I would also say be very careful who you listen to. Everybody sounds good from stage, right? But you've got to own, that's the reason I talk about motivation being so overly rated. You know, I made the statement that, hey, we're going to do another conference next year. But between us, they're probably overrated. Okay. If I look at the ROI on the money we spend to put them on and what we do and the staff and all of that. And so success, and this is what Eric and I were talking about the other day. Success is you creating a lot of small victories until the dam breaks. It's creating a lot of small victories. There's no formula for success. It's it's preparing, right? You've got to organize and you've got to see it through. And until you really take ownership of your business, not the way Eric does it, not the way Barry does it, but your own unique rhythm of doing things your way and being and having, you know, the business maturity, right, to analyze and to make the needed adjustments to improve each day. I've said this. In fact, I wrote this down early this morning. Most of my success, Barry's success, really has come from, number one, not quitting, and number two, just finding a way incrementally to move forward each day. No really big major successes, truly. But what I found out is if I can control my emotions and control my activity, and I start having small victories each day, they add up. Because it's the one thing, you know, core value too, you know, is that mental toughness. I'm just telling you, there's so few people that can operate at that level every day and not let bad days wipe them out. or no, or you see what I'm saying? So I wanted you to tell you that about me. It's mainly been about not quitting. It's mainly been about, it's fighting each and every day, and also enjoying enjoying the process. I truly still to this day enjoy the process. We've had, consequently, we have had two of our largest days in business the last 48 hours. And you say, well, Barry, why? I've been as surprised as you are, probably, but yeah, right? I think we are moving the process, right? I think we are staying very, very committed. I also want you to write this down, if you will. See, when you own your swing and you own the confidence and commitment of developing your business, you then, Crystal, what happens is this: you as an individual create and have non-negotiables for the people that work with you. Sometimes we're way too cavalier at making exceptions in our pursuit of building our organizations and building our teams. And I believe people are attracted to people that have an inner deep commitment about the way they do things, right? Because if you swing and sway with Sammy K as the way I would put it, or, oh, that's okay, we'll do it this way, people really, what they read into is non-commitment, lack of commitment about the way we do things. I hope this makes sense, right? But see, when you own your swing and you set out as a CEO or as you're building your business, and you start taking all of the third and fourth grade emotion out of it, and you really just lock in, because candidly, you don't have to worry about Equus. Equus is going to be okay. You don't have to worry about the Valdez. You don't have to worry about your leader. I do believe this. I think you've got to become very selfish in your pursuit. I hope you take selfish the right way. But if you're not jacked up about your business and loving it, and you need to go read something to get you excited for the day, I don't know that I understand that. Other than I would probably go part-time or stay part-time, right? Because I told the group yesterday, because Ethos is a startup, and I was talking to a lot of very bright people, but I told them this, I said, interesting, I've been around you less than 24 hours, but all of you have that giddy enthusiasm and excitement in your eyes, because you're fearful, you're scared, you've invested a lot of money, and you're not a proven commodity yet, right? And I said, it reminds me a lot of Equus Financial in 2016, 17, 18. I said, I'm somewhat envious of you today, right? Because I like those days. And that's, business is tough. It's tough. I said this from conference, or at our conference, and I want to say it to you today, is that culture is important, and you really truly have to be careful about who was in your business, right? You know, I want to give you an example. And I said this, we ended up, really tightening up our regional manager deal at the end of the year. And we had 60 some, watch this, regional managers, right? And we probably had 25 or 30 legits. And so you always make the, I just said, because I'm really passionate about mediocrity is the enemy. And if you don't have a standard that you uphold to and that you live your life by, I think, especially in business and personally too, I think it's very, very easy. You end up going backwards, man. I mean, I just think mediocrity in general kills, right? I do. I think it literally kills. And so anyway, I think that when you kind of look at that, you've got to be very, very, you've got to have this awareness of it. Okay, hold on one second. I'm getting some feedback. Hold on one second. Okay.
Yep. You're good. Man, this is good stuff. Owning your swing. Non-negotiable, big deal.
Okay, everybody, stand up, head, shoulders, knees, toes, head, shoulders, knees, toes. Okay.
All righty, guys. I'm sorry. I'm back. So when you, so you just have that awareness. But here's the point that I want to make. I think we had some great people that their business just wasn't clicking right then, right? And I think some of the people that ended up with to roll back, I think they're going to be our future stars. And I'm not saying that. I truly mean that. But we also had 8 or 10 or 12 deadbeats, right? That were giving the rest of us a bad name. And we had 1 or 2 that quit, right? So, but you know what happened? Our deadgum business has gone up 250 applications a week since we made that decision, right? And if you're not and that's what I mean, there has to be non-negotiables in your business, right? We spend a tremendous amount of money, as do you, in producing leads, right? And I want you to be a heck of a lot more careful about who we give them to, right? Does that make sense? Don't just give them to everybody, right? Give them to people that can perform, or let's find some other people to give them to, because if you treat it casually, it'll always be that way, right? And oh, by the way, we don't need everybody. We don't need everybody. We don't want everybody, right? And so here's what I want to go through pretty quickly with you. And this is what Eric and I were talking about, I think on Monday or Tuesday night, is that we have an incredible bonus program, okay? And I don't think there is a program out there. I do not think this, okay? So here's where we're going to get a little touchy. I don't think there's a program out there that gives more for doing less than we have, right? And I am blown totally away that we don't have people that attack that every day to make sure they never, ever not get a bonus. Okay. So I'm going to go through a couple of things, and I want you to write these things down. I know you know them, but I want you to understand. I just want to give you my perspective on the way that I look at it. And you may can it, but I want to give you my perspective on the way that I would attack it. Okay. So I'm going to simply only deal with tier 1 first level. Okay. Tier 1 first level pays $1,500 a month, no chargebacks. What is that? 18 grand a year. Okay. I don't look at it. It's the 1,500, 18,000 a year. The way my brain works, how about if I take 10 of that and put it in a great investment every year? Now, what does the 10 become? Right? How about if I take the other and invest it in my recruiting or leads for the first year or so, because I'm growing my business, okay? So if you look at level 1, you need $50,000 of paid business. To keep the math simple, you have to pay 50 applications a month, okay? So if you have to pay 50 a month, that's 12 and a half a week. Really, it's 12 because I'm using $1,000 premium and our average is still close to 1,100 now. Okay, if you look at our premium, probably a little over. But let's just, for simplicity and barrier, let's keep it simple. Okay, so you got $50,000. You need 12 and a half sales every single week that go paid to attack. Okay. If we use a 75% placement, and I'm just rounding off, right? Most of our simplified issue business is 78, 79, 80% placement, okay? But let's just use 75. You need 65. Now, here's where the attack portion comes. You need 65 apps a month on a submitted basis. And the flow will always work out if you give this 90 days. May not work out your first 30, but it's going to work out for the 90 to where it becomes systematic and automatic. Okay. So if I need 65 apps a month, I need roughly 16 submissions a week. And if I need 16 submissions a week, I need roughly 2.7 a day on a 6-day work week. Okay. Now, if it was me, and oh, by the way, it was me, I always try to get a jump start on the week. Right. I never wanted to wake up on Monday morning because I found Murphy's Law always took over. So what I wanted to do, and it was the way that I organized myself, right? I would do a Saturday morning. I'm just giving you some thoughts. I would go out there and probably have a dial session. Or an appointment setting deal. You know, I'd be doing something from 9 o'clock until probably 1 o'clock. And I would attack that. Now, I was able to do that because I took off every Friday afternoon, right? 11:30, 12 o'clock, I was out of there, baby, right? That was my time, right? But on Saturday morning, I can't tell you how many trips at the office I came by and I had coffee and donuts for everybody. It was festive. You know, I gave a little 30, 45-minute recognition. Here's what we're doing. Let's, I want to remind what we're out here fighting for, man, right? And but here's what I was doing. I wanted to front load my week so I wasn't always playing catch up. I know there's some games won in the 9th inning, 4th quarter, but boy, I don't like having to get that last hit in the 9th inning, trying to get the guy across, right? I don't like that. I wanted to front load. Why? Because I wanted to get my momentum going. Why's the other reason that I wanted to do that? because I wanted our people to see the way that I owned the business, the way that I ran things, the psychology of starting off, front loading the week, right? But here's what it comes down to. Early on, it's sheer guts and intestinal fortitude fighting for those 2.7 applications every day. Right? And see, that's where you've got to own it. Right? You mean you've got to dadgum just own it, right? Now, here's the other thing. If I was out there recruiting, which I told you on our Monday call, I didn't like the word recruit. You know all I'd be showing probably? I wouldn't be talking about Equus and talking about this. I'd be talking about, we build distribution. We represent some of the largest insurance companies on the planet. Our market's middle income people. I don't want to talk a lot about the commission level. Let me tell you about the bonus program that Equus Financial pays out every 30 days. How would you like a chance to go out there every 30 days and get $2,000 for doing a mediocre job? $24,000 a year in bonus. And I'm telling you, hey, I could get you smiling, right? But that's what I did, right? And I would just simply say this. Here's what our company's looking for. We're looking for people that have the ability to attract quality people. We work in an incredibly regulated industry. So you've got to, you've got to have character. Got to do things right 100% of the time, right? And that's the reason I'm talking to you, right? And so that's the way we would start putting things together. But if you're a builder and you want to get to our bonus, and I'll be honest with you, and listen, that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about. It's helping people put together their teams and their organizations. And I think there's not been a better recruiting time since Equus got started than right now. I mean, how many quality people do you know, right? I wouldn't be talking about a lot of other, I'd get right to the heart of what moves people. And there are only two things on the planet that move people: their potential to make money and to be recognized and get promoted. And everything else is pure minutia. I want to say something else because that's what it is. It's pure minutia. And so you talk to, because the right people that are business people, are going to want to know what's in it for them. What can I do? Am I going to be able to better my situation and my family, right? But the point is, you got to be willing, listen, you've got to be willing to fight for your victories, right? You've got to fight for your victory. You've got to be able to push through some of these barriers. And I hope you're miserable. I hope you don't sleep tonight. I hope you get upset when you don't, right? But if losing becomes okay, Eric, don't ask me to talk because I don't know what to say to that. It's not. Right, the real life, we have no participation trophies, which is my new favorite thing, Crystal, to say, right? We don't have participation trophies for showing up, right? And so if I was going to learn to take ownership of something, be committed to the process and don't flinch. Don't flinch. Don't let other people dictate or have anything to do with your activity, right? I heard some people talking at our conference that sounded good, and I wanted to rip their throats out of them, right? Because they were talking about, well, you know, this isn't easy. And if you don't think you're going to pay a price, if you don't think you're going to pay a price, you're lying to people, right? There is a price to be paid. And I think the price, you're trying to condense it down as much as you can, as quick as you can. So the reason I don't want to, you know, I like to move fast, right? Is you get this over within 18 months, but you do have to have an awareness. Let's write that word down. Have an awareness of everything going on around you. Have a awareness if people who's following your spoken word, who's doing things that are duplicatable, because unless you hit the duplication button, you're going to be doing the same thing 5 years from now that you're doing today. And okay, let me give you an analytical, historical fact. Those people have a shelf life. Those individuals have a shelf life. It's the reason I spend 100% of my time not looking for producers. So, well, Barry, we need producers. I know. I spend 100% of my time trying to find leadership and building leaders, because it's where the money's at. It's where the opportunity's at. The best salespeople I know this stuff because I keep up with it. The best salespeople all have a shelf life because you get tired, right? And I think if you're going to go in business, why not create more free time for yourself? I went in business, I wanted to create free time. I wanted to do things where my income wouldn't stop. I wanted to be able to vacation. But break everything down on a daily basis. Every day is not going to go your way, but it's how you react to the situation. And what you will find out, why I'm big on front loading my activity, trying to play catch up typically doesn't work out most of the time. It just doesn't. So I believe you need a lead plan. You need an appointment plan. And you need a backup plan when things don't go well, right? Because our business is really nothing more than a function of leads and people, leads and agents. That's the business. Our business at what we do and where we make our money, leads and agents. And the more agents you have, the more leads you have, the more sales you have, right? The more opportunity you do. So what I'm trying to find, because I do believe that, Mark, here's what I believe, okay? Here's what I believe. Is that what I talk with people about is what they're going to react to. So if I'm talking with you about a sales position, you're going to size up very, very quickly that that's my priority, is to get you to sell something. I also conversely believe that I talk about the opportunity that our insurance companies are really looking for are those people that have the skill set to build a sales organization, manage lead, motivate, encourage, what leaders do. let me ask you, and I'm role playing, Mark, and you don't have to answer. I realize you're muted, okay? But if I ask you that, then I think, Mark, you come back and you're going to respond to me. Oh, Barry, I've always wanted to be in business. I've really never had the opportunity. Well, what have you done? And tell me this, man. You want to be a leader. Why do you think you're a leader? Right? Why do you think? And I'm really asking the question. I was having dinner with that CEO on Wednesday night, right, of Ethos. And I'm always trying to get something, right? So I got talking to them about GPM building a proprietary product. And I loved his question to me. He said, well, if I build you one, do you think it's going to get us more business? And I said, Peter, it's a great question. I think so, but I don't know the answer. But why don't you do what GPM did? They asked me to give them 50 apps a week for 6 weeks. For 6 months. And I gave them 100 because I said, Peter, you don't know me. I will never ask you to spend 1 penny that you don't get a great return on. You need to know that. Okay. I want to underpromise and overdeliver. Can I tell you something funny? I never brought it up again, Matt Wilson, never said another word about it. And as I was getting on my plane coming home yesterday, I got an email. We want to build you a product. Okay. Right. So I do know this. We want to do a lot of things for you. I need you to listen to this. Equus today has a deficit of, we need leadership. We need performers that I'm flying out to you because you're doing so great and saying, what can we do? Where can we spend our money to help you grow your business? See, that's what I want to do. And let me just tell you this, Integrity's got a bunch of it, money that is. And they're looking to invest it in people that grow, right? But you've got to go out there and break away from everybody else. That's the challenge, right? If you look, do, be with everybody else, there's no differentiation there, right? And there's got to be, there must be, for opportunity to come. And I think you would be blown away by what would come your way if you have a breakthrough, but that's where you've got to, it's worth it. But motivation is not going to get you there because it comes and goes. It's this mind that is totally sealed. That's why I always say every time I try to get in front of you, turn the noise off. Because it doesn't make any difference. Because here's the problem. Most of the time, the people that are talking, they're not doing anything anyway. Because if you're out there really getting after it and working, you don't have time to be sitting there talking to a bunch of freaking losers that are going to listen. They say, well, Barry, that's ugly. Yeah, it's ugly because it's truthful. Right? So guys, let me tell you something. This is big time business in America. It's big time. There's always a beginning and there's always an end. And I just don't want to waste time. Right? Eric will remember this. I remember my first meeting. I said 2 things I'm not. I'm not a preacher, not a psychologist, right? I'm not neither one of those. I'm a businessman. And I can get you help on the other ones, I think. But I want to talk with you about activity and growing your business, because that's what we do here. And so go hit tier 1. Got to have 5 producers, got to have 50 paid. Be there in 90 days. And I don't know what you've got to do. You've got to figure that out. I know what you've got to have. You've got to figure the plan. You got to be able to figure the plan out and own your swing, given your skill set and abilities. You've got to figure that out. But I know this, when you start being you and no one else, I believe great things happen. So we got a great call Monday for our builders broadcast. Great call Monday. We got some great things going. You know, I think right now we've tried to set Equus up in 23 to be the best inviters are going to win, fill the workshops up. We're already having positive results out of what came out of the workshop. And then we've not yet had our first sales manager academy that we're going to have up at our ranch. That's going to be some good stuff there. We're going to, you know, do more of what we're doing with you right now. Right. But anyway, thanks for listening to me today. Eric, thank you, and Kim for the invite. Man, I don't want to fool around with this. We've got a great opportunity. I want to seize the moment because I don't want to kid myself and think that opportunity is always out there and always around. There are key moments, and it's recognition and execution. And that's what we want to do. All right. All right, man. Hey, Eric, thank you. Have a great weekend. I'll turn it back over to you, sir.